Hey everybody, Derek here. I'm here to bring you a review for tonight's episode of Walking Dead, which was No Sanctuary, the season premiere. Absolutely amazing episode. I am so impressed by what they did with this episode. Everything about it was absolutely great. I'm still feeling like everything from it. It was just so great. I'm gonna give my thoughts on it. Give a couple of things that I think that we're gonna see in the future, and just everything that was great about it. So just in case you have not watched it yet, there will be spoilers, or if you want to know, then I'll tell you. But just in case you haven't seen it yet, you're seeing it later on. Don't watch if you don't want to be spoiled. Okay. And like I said, this episode was absolutely amazing. It had everything that you wanted. Right away you get to a state of brutality, you get to a state of uncertainty with all of these characters. A better opportunity than they had with 30 Days Without an Accident, the last season premiere from season 4. You finally got to have that edge of your seat kind of action, and that's what I really liked about it. Right away, we get off right to the bat. They're trying to break out. They get dragged into the room, um, and basically, Rick and Bob and Daryl and Glenn are all tied up, and Sam, the guy from Indifference, is on the end. He's the first one. They basically just whack people upside the head and slit their throats and let the blood go into the trough. Very sick stuff. I mean, I think it's pretty much established at this point that yes, they are cannibals. They pretty much bring people in, they drain their bodies out of blood, and then they basically cut them up and use them as food. They were cutting up Alex from the season finale who got shot. Um, they were cutting him up on the table as Rick, Daryl, Glenn, and Bob were being taken in there. So it doesn't matter why. I mean, if you die, you're gonna probably be used as food. It's just the way it goes. It's like just being recycled, for some other purpose. Definitely was very sick. I mean, the brutality of that episode was just insane. And if I hadn't read earlier in the spoilers they released for No Sanctuary that none of Rick's group was going to die, I would have been like, Glenn was this close, and only because of the fact that it's television is he still alive. I mean, I just don't think there would have been a distraction. Life's not that lucky, unfortunately. But Glenn is barely saved with Gareth coming in there, and he's basically just very indifferent. And that's the thing is you see like this systematic type of approach to what they're doing. It's just, hey, it's just business. This is part of the way we do things. Sorry, Bob, I'm not willing to listen to your pleas. We're our goal is to just go along with everything, and we're gonna butcher you no matter what. I mean, that's just the way it goes. So definitely was very sick. Um, I liked how later on in the episode, how you see, they what they kind of did, and what I thought they were gonna do was, you see something that happened later. It's actually like later, and then they go back and they show how it led up to that, because Carol overhears all of the commotion. Like Carol and Tyrese are away, and they see or they hear the gunshots. Whenever Rick and Daryl Michonne and Carl came, they hear the gunshots there. It was basically a very intense firefight that was going on there, and that's when Carol and Tyrese knew something was up. They run into that guy at the cabin, and they hold him hostage, find out what's going on. Carol goes in because Carol is just the tougher of the two. I mean, I love Tyrese. Tyrese is one of my favorite characters, and I just have to say, tonight, Tyrese, welcome to the Walking Dead world. And I don't say that to offend Tyrese, and Tyrese is a very tough character, definitely a very tough guy in general. But Carol was right in that Tyrese was pretty much like innocent in a lot of ways before the episode was over tonight, because he's never had to kill a human. And I've preached that a couple times where I said that Tyrese was one of the last good guys in the Walking Dead world. And again, it's a separation between whether you're humane or inhumane. Like Garrett's people are inhumane. What are you doing cannibalizing people? But Rick's group's more humane. They care more about trying to build society back together and a family unit. And you see even once they get away, you see that with Glenn. Like, they hear the people or the guy in the one train car, and he goes, Rick, we got to let him out of there. That's who we are. It can't change. That's the way we need to be. And I liked that. Because Rick at that point was just like, hey, I care about everybody here except, I don't care about what else is going on. And I just like how Glenn brought him back to his senses. Like, no, we're not leaving people behind. We need to be humane. And again, you see, it's more of a humane versus inhumane perspective. And Tyrese finally entered that kind of a world. When he had to kill that guy. He basically, and the guy was right. I mean, looking at the way things were, he was egging him on. He's like, you don't have what it takes, Tyrese, and if you don't, then you're not going to live. And I mean, that's the thing is, it's only on the great graces that Tyrese is tough and is able to, he's very skilled at killing walkers that made him able to, take care of the walkers outside and come back in. But you do see that, in Tyrese. And it was nice to see Tyrese finally break through that barrier, and he saved Judith's life. He did what needed to be done, and I'm very happy that he finally found that within himself, and that he was able to take care of business. I was really happy to see that. But I think that if you had to give a gold star, well, I don't even think gold is enough. Platinum. We'll go with platinum. If you had to give a platinum star to somebody in this episode tonight, it is Carol. I mean, she goes in there, guns blazing. I loved her ingenuity of getting, the propane tank to blow up, letting the walkers go in there. She's able to sneak in there. She puts walker guts all over herself. She is able to, save Rick's group. I mean, that's pretty much the truth. And of course, I mean, it's a little of both, because you have her going in there and doing what she's doing, but you also have Rick, who is able to get a piece of wood, and he's able to cut through the cuffs. I'm kind of amazed, actually, that he was able to cut through those with a sharp piece of wood. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. It takes a lot of work to get those types of cuffs off, believe me. I'm not experienced with them. I just, I've read and I've seen things where they really are very tight cuffs, and it's very hard to get out of. But, with enough, determination, you can pretty much do whatever you want. And, they're able to untie themselves because of Carol's, explosion and distraction. It prevents them from being, killed before everything is taken care of. So you have Rick and Daryl and Bob and Glenn saving themselves, and they go out there and they are able to fight through the walkers. And I mean, Rick gets the gold star, Carol gets the platinum star. Because, I mean, you see Rick, just right back into his season 3 character and then some. I mean, there's a little more to Rick that we never saw before. And I just like how, he goes into that room and he's just, he sees the bodies hanging up there. And then, after he kills those butchers, he turns to Daryl and Glenn. He's like, no, don't kill them. You let them turn. Like, let them turn. Showing that he's going to give them the worst punishment that he can possibly give them. I wouldn't want to come back as a walker. I would hope that somebody out there would be there to, if I die, to plug one in my head in a zombie apocalypse. Because I don't want to be a zombie. I would not want to turn into a walker. And knowing that those people were going to come back, I think that's the worst punishment that you can give somebody. Kind of like how Michonne was taking her boyfriend and her the best friend along for the longest time. That's the worst punishment that you can give somebody, in my opinion. So you have all those people coming together. You have Carol confronting Mary, and that was a very interesting confrontation. You see just like how much they actually believe that what they're doing is a good thing. And I think we need to learn a little bit more about them, because you have to wonder how exactly they got to being the way that they are. And if I had to make a guess, I would honestly think that maybe after their experiences, maybe what they're trying to do is form the perfect community, is what I'm thinking. Now, you look at what happened. They showed flashbacks that I thought were very, very great. That Gareth and Alex and Mary and a couple of other people were in the train cars. and what Terminus used to be. According to Mary, I mean, Mary was sincere that Terminus used to be a safe place. It was a sanctuary, but then I guess these people came and they took over and they basically um, raped and beat several of the women there. Unfortunately, it turned into a very bad place. And one of the things that we actually learned in this episode is Mary is Gareth's mother, and Alex, the guy who was killed in the season finale A, is the other son. It's Mary's other son and Gareth's brother, older or younger, I don't know. But you saw it was a family unit, and you just saw like the brutality that was going on there. And somehow they obviously escaped. And I think that we might see several flashbacks throughout the season. I have no doubt about that. And one of the things that I'm really looking forward to about that is seeing how everything came to be. Because again, what I think they're doing is, I think they're trying to build like the great community that they can possibly make. And it's like, okay, if somebody comes in here and they're not our material, we need to kill them because otherwise we're going to be subject to all of these brutal environments. Maybe. I mean, that's a stretch, but I mean, I just think that there's more to it than just we're cannibalizing people because we need to survive. I think there's more to it. I think that after the brutality that Gareth, Mary, Alex, and many other people there may have suffered at the hands of these people, I think that it might have been something that flipped the switch in them and just made them realize that this world is not safe and we need to do something about it. So I think that that's a very good possibility. But again, it's too early to really make a lot of predictions. But that's my guess because I think there's more to the cannibalizing than just we need to survive. I think there's a lot more to it. But I really like the escape, and I really like how Rick gets out there and he's like, hey, we're gonna kill them. This is it. They don't get to live. We don't. We're going in there and we're finishing business. You see him all gung ho, and then Carol comes out, and I really love how they welcomed her back. Because that was something I was wondering leading up to this premiere was how was the group gonna react to Carol? Because I mean, again, I think we as the audience and people know that what she did with Karen and David was not an easy decision, and I don't think that we necessarily fault her for that as much as you might in a real world situation. But I was always wondering, how's the rest of the group going to deal with that? And I mean, just I think that it was so great, like even like Daryl and Carol hugging was the best, and I mean, you just saw the heart of them. All the Daryl Carol fans out there were going, yeah, and I was too. I thought it was very nice to see them reconnect, and even seeing Rick, he was like, "Was that you?" Like, and I mean, I thought it was a great reunion. I really liked it, and then you tug at our hearts again when they go back to the cabin and there's baby Judith and Rick and Carl are just happy again. It's just like that things are gonna get worse somehow, some way. That's how The Walking Dead loves to be. It can't be like a perfect world, but it's nice to get those happy moments. It really is. And welcoming Carol back into the group, Rick and Carl knowing that Judith is still alive, I think was very, very nice. And I'm very happy with the way that all came together. One of the other big plot points of the episode was Eugene and Abraham and the mission to Washington. Eugene claims to be from a Human Genome Project, and he offers that explanation in order to get out of there. And you see that Abraham and Rosita are still on their mission, and I'm interested to see how that's going to conflict with Rick's group, because again, Abraham was being sensible. Abraham, is tough, but he's also not, and that might make him a little bit better in some ways than Rick, is that it is a risk. I mean, I think Rick was just working off the adrenaline and so upset, and I can't blame Rick. But is that really the smartest thing to do? Go in guns blazing, and that they're going to have guns too and potentially get people killed. Abraham was more of the level-headed one, and I think it's also a good thing that Carol showed up because I think it lightened the mood. And then, knowing that they were going to get reunited with Judith, I think again was just very, very. That was the thing that snapped Rick back into reality. It's his family, and I think that in the end, Rick is going to remember, the big picture, that I have a son and I have a daughter that I need to take care of, and I can't be doing stupid things like that. So I was very impressed with the way everything came together. I'm very interested to see how the mission will play in later on in this series, because I think it's very clear that you have conflicting ideas, maybe. I don't know how Rick hasn't been introduced to the idea yet, so I don't know if he's necessarily up for that or not yet. I think it's going to take a little convincing, and I'm interested to see how that's going to fall out. You can already tell that Rick and Abraham are already, just a little hint at the odds that they are against each other. So I'm very interested to see how that all turns out. And then finally, probably the biggest thing in that episode was Morgan is back. I mean, after the episode ended, and the promo, for the next episode, I was like, oh, okay. And then I see this guy, and I, honest to God, thought that it was like Chris Hardwick or Conan O'Brien, somebody in the head. Like, I thought that they were just going to be like, hey, it's Chris Hardwick and welcome to Talking Dead. Like, I thought they like upped the ante a little bit and they did things like that. So that's what I thought it was. And then I see the mask come off and it's Morgan, and I go, I was just impressed. I was very happy to see that, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how Morgan fits in. When is he going to come back into the picture? I am so excited. But I'm really glad they got Lenny James back. I know they've been talking about it, and I'm really, really glad that Morgan is back. Very thankful, and I can't wait to see when he meets up with the group. I mean, who knows? Is he going to run into Gareth and the Terminus people first, or is he going to run into Rick's group? We don't know yet. But I'm very excited to see how he plays into it, and I hope that we see him again sooner rather than later. So that's all I got for now, folks. Thank you again for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I have more videos coming. And with the new season coming, again, I'm going to be doing videos for Season 5 as well as for Z Nation. So if you guys have any questions or any topics you want me to do, put them in the comments. I will do my best to do them. I have a couple ideas. I've been given some ideas, and I'm working on them right now. And I'm also working on the Walker kill count series that'll be coming out soon. I'm just piecing together some things and figuring out how I want to do it, but you'll be able to count along with me how many zombies have been killed in the show. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you again for counting down with me, and I'm really glad this was a great episode, and I know they have great things coming up. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.